Second down and 5. Alabama can get a first down at the 6-yard line. And it's Jalen Milroe. Pump fakes. Jalen Milroe. Touchdown Alabama again. 4 for number 4.
Triple option play. Same one that LSU uses. And time, bang. Look at that. That's back speed right there.
The shake.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaXSports. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 on your radio dial, as well as 12:30 a.m. WTBC. Your home for Alabama sports. It's the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports, your show, your team. The playbook for today, we'll be adding DC Capstone report to the conversation. He joins us to talk about Alabama versus Michigan. We'll talk about all SEC honorees with him, who made it in and who didn't, who would he like to have seen on that list. Also threw in a little most improved player. I put up a post on Facebook, gave my thoughts on it. We'll talk Bama hoops as well and more. Join, share, and like the live stream at the Martin Houston 35 and Martin Houston 35 fan page on Facebook, Martin Houston 35 on YouTube and the X. We also bring DC Capstone Report into the conversation, MaXSports, as well as X's and O's and Tide 100.9 on Facebook as well. So all of those are options, and those of you who prefer to interact the traditional way, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Regardless of which way you choose to interact with us, we'll work you into the conversation because, like we like to say, it's your show, your team. So let us hear from you. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Interesting conversation we're going to get to. Ryan Williams is part of that conversation, so be gathering your thoughts on what his reclassification meant. He's definitely a part of the 2024 class versus 2025. Is that good news or bad news for the Alabama Crimson Tide? So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's bring in DC Capstone Report. How you doing, sir?
Doing great this morning, Martin. How you doing? How you doing, X?
Doing well. Well, lots of things to talk about today. Some news from last week, of course. We'll circle back on the All SEC. All SEC selections from last week, and a couple guys making All-American this week. But I'm going to get your thoughts there. But we'll go ahead and get a couple of things that can kind of age on you and be out of the news cycle. And the number one question X, since you kind of handle recruiting for us from a Max recruiting standpoint. What does the Ryan Williams reclassification mean in terms of recruiting?
I think it's a huge gift for Bama in this 2024 class when you look at it. We have two wide receivers already, Amari Jefferson and Rico Scott, who I think are very talented players. But when you have a player that can reclassify, he goes from being the number one wide receiver in his class to only the number 3, 4, depending on which service you look at. His talent level, he's still a 5-star, number 14 player in this class. This is where he's rated. When you look at all of the guys that are a year, 2 years older than what he is, this is where he still falls among them. He's a more explosive wide receiver of the group that we have. And the crazy part of it is Bama has the number one class in 2025. Even with the reclassification, Bama still has the number one recruiting class in 2025, which I'll go more in depth in on Thursday when we can dedicate more time to it. But Ryan Williams, he's a game changer. He's a playmaker. He's a guy that I don't necessarily know if he's going to break heavily into the rotation this coming up year, but he definitely has the talent to do that. And I think the best way I see him being used this year is go look at how USC used Zachariah Branch at USC, and how he was a punt returner, a kick returner, and then they used this year to acclimate him to the college football game. Ryan's going to need that. Being a year younger, he's going to have to grow more. He's going to have to get stronger, more physical to go up against SEC caliber cornerbacks, guys that are going to be first, second round draft picks in the next coming years.
DC, what are your thoughts on the Ryan Williams reclassification?
Well, I agree with X wholeheartedly. I think he nailed it on the head there. I think another thing that X didn't touch on, but I'm sure he would agree with me, is it's big for Ryan Williams himself. I don't think he gains anything from another year in high school, but gains tremendously getting into the program at Alabama. My understanding is, from everyone I've talked to, is he's going to come in January. And so he is going to have the resources of the weight room, weight program to really pour on and get himself in a shape to play. Yes, he's going to be younger, but I see him coming in as a dynamic playmaker that gets in on special teams and really makes a difference, and then works his way into the rotation. And that gives us 3, I think, good playmakers coming in this class at wide receiver. So I think it's great for Alabama football team. I think it's great for Ryan Williams. I think really development-wise, it's going to really help him down the road.
Did he restate his commitment yesterday?
He said roll tide at the he said that he's going to reclassify, and at the end of it he said roll tide. There's been nothing said from his side that he's going to be in his commitment. And from what I heard, he's not going to be able to enroll until June, just with some of the credits that he still needs to graduate, because this was kind of a later decision to reclassify once this school year actually started. So he didn't have enough hours to graduate in a week or two whenever his semester ends. But he'll go on a couple more visits, but he's locked in from everything that you've heard from his dad and from himself.
Well, you know who was at the press conference, right?
Yeah, like 3 or 4
Auburn coaches were at the press conference. Just FYI, his dad played at Auburn, so guys, don't sell it short. Now, I mean, I feel like he's a Bama guy, but money talks, and so we'll watch it closely until he put that ink on that paper. I'm excited.
A lot of people are making a big deal that he's not signing next week.
And that is a big deal. I'm going to tell you.
It is, but also his birthday is actually the February signing day. So I think he wants to make a big celebration of that, which could include a flip. It could. But I think that's the big reason why he's not signing next week.
Hey, DC, you remember though, you want to get all the hay in the barn where you can get the hay in the barn?
I agree 100%, and
Anytime
I
they
had
don't,
not heard.
if they don't have that ink on the paper, you got, there's a chance, as they say, if you don't put the ink on the paper next week, there's a chance that he could flip. I don't think he's going to, but Bam Bam 72 was saying that we used to say Perry Thompson was in the bag at one time as well, but he's now sitting as an Auburn commit. So,
Well, I do know this, though. I do know that up until the announcement yesterday, his dad, the school administrators, the counselors, everybody was trying to make it happen so that he could enroll in January. That's how important he wanted to get into to get the program now. His dad wanted him in the program now. So I understand that must not have happened based on what X's information is he's receiving, but I think that at least that understanding of what that they wanted to do gives you a little bit of his lean is pretty close to locked in with Alabama, in my opinion.
and I think he is locked in, and I don't think that I'm going to tell you, you can't tell me that him playing at Bryant-Denny didn't help Alabama. I mean, do you understand that people, if I'm Alabama as a school, DC, I'm sending him going, hey, man, hey, come do that at the Tide. You already got a head start. You got 4 TDs in Bryant-Denny. That's the most of anybody coming into this program in the history of this program. You know, that type of stuff. I mean, I'd be hyping him up. Hey, you already wearing the red and white. Come on then, getting that crimson. So because those who don't know, he lost the state championship game, but not because of his lack of effort. 300 plus total all-purpose yards, and we saw how he would be used at the next level, because what we saw was his team going against the best team in the state the last 3 years in 6A football, and he looked like a man amongst boys. Even though they didn't win the game, he looked like a man amongst boys, and really, really a great game. First play, I think he had a 70-yard touch. He had 140 yards or something on his first 2 catches. So, and then he had a kickoff return, 80-some yard kickoff return, and then he had another touchdown. So definitely got off to a great start in Bryant-Denny. I think he comes to the Tide. I just thought it was interesting that Auburn's not giving up. MHS 047 said Auburn supposedly offered him $1.3 million with jobs for his family. Auburn is not going to let up. Yellowwood is helping Auburn hard to get Ryan Williams. I don't see him going there either, because he'd be the 3rd guy in this class to commit. You know, in what, 3?
5th guy.
No, I'm saying from Alabama. Wouldn't he be the 3rd wide receiver from Alabama to commit?
Yes, from Alabama he would. But what people don't realize, I'll give Hugh Freeze this. He's got Cam and Perry, who everybody talks about because they're the local kids. They're the 5-stars. They already have 2 other 4-stars committed, wide receivers committed in this class as well.
But you know what I'm doing, DC, as we go to break, and I'll let you respond on the other side. I'm going Jalen Milroe. Who they got at Auburn? Who's going to be throwing you the ball, Ryan? That's how you get a wide receiver. Who's going to get you the rock? Who's going to get you the rock? And I think Alabama has the advantage there. We'll talk about that and more on the other side. You listen to the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaXSports. Don't forget about Southmark Design, the official outfitter of the Martin Houston Show. They can help you with all of your promo items, sporting items, event items at Southmark Design, southmarkdesign.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Things pretty quiet as we begin our Tuesday morning. We do see some minor congestion on Culver Road headed out to Goodrich. Now, if you see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. The year-end clearance is on now at Townsend Nissan with savings up to $10,000. Don't miss it. I'm Captain Ray.
If you need residential or commercial dirt work done, West Alabama Landworks is ready to tackle the job for you. They specialize in land clearing, forestry mulching, land grading, driveway grading, and repair services. No job is too large or too small. Call them today for a free estimate at 205-233-1234 anywhere in West Alabama, Birmingham, or surrounding areas. West Alabama Landworks makes tough jobs look easy. Give them a call if you need residential or commercial dirt work done. West Alabama Landworks, 205-233-1234.
Spoiled supermarket meat, sawdust like fillers, artificial preservatives?
Hold on there. I'm veterinarian Dr. Marty Goldstein. You don't want your dog eating any of that. These potentially harmful ingredients are found in many of today's popular dog foods, but not in Nature's Blend. A freeze-dried raw dog food with real cuts of meat, omega-3 rich seeds, and superfood veggies and fruit.
Nature's Blend is designed to help support your dog's playfulness, healthy skin, soft coat, easy digestion, and youthful mobility.
Your dog will go bonkers over Nature's Blend savory flavor and texture.
For a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and receive a free festive holiday dog sweater with select orders. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
I guarantee it with a 100% 90-day return of your purchase price.
Offer available with select orders while supplies last. Text fees may apply. You may receive up to one additional text. Text stop to opt out. Paid for by Dr. Marty's Pets.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another day of blue sky and sunshine. The high for this afternoon around 56. Clear tonight below 32. Tomorrow and Thursday, sunny both days. Highs between 58 and 61. And Friday, partly to mostly sunny with a high at 59. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 28 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back in. The Martin Houston Show. I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our branch locations. That's Alabama 1. We're now a statewide financial institution. We have a full suite of services, including a variety of mortgage, farm, land, timber, loans, as well as the traditional auto, recreational vehicle, and small equipment loans. But right now, you need to take advantage of our great deposit rates, our CD rates, for business customers as high as 5.72 and can get as high as 5.51. But standard rate on a 12-month is 5.3 on a CD. And we also have an interest-bearing checking account starting at 2% with enhancements. Membership has its advantages. You can grow that up to 5.2% based on your relationship with us. Stop by a branch in your community, or if you're outside of our physical footprint, or if you just prefer to do business virtually, visit us online at alabama1.org. That's alabama1.org. We're Alabama one together. What's your one? All right. DC, any comments you want to have on that conversation as we were going to break there regarding Ryan Williams and Auburn and them getting into it before we jump over to a conversation I had started on Facebook around most improved player?
Well, I mean, just briefly, just want to say, I know everybody thinks Auburn's got a chance because of Ryan Williams' dad, but I think because of Ryan Williams' dad and his knowledge of the football, he wants the best for his son. I think he thinks the best NFL laden talent and the best to get to the NFL will be at Alabama. So I think Alabama's got the edge there, no matter how much money they throw at it.
Yeah. Bam Bam 72 said, who has the better track record at putting wide receivers in the league? It's about the development, and Bama does that better than anyone. Here's the question. Does Bama do that better than anyone? Does Bama develop receivers better than anyone?
My opinion is, based on the track record of those playing in the NFL, the answer has to be yes. If you're talking about recently, we don't have those, but going back from Devontae Smith back, we have a great track record of that.
So, go ahead, X.
Alabama, Ohio State. That's who. in Alabama, Ohio State, LSU. Those are your three. He hadn't shown any interest in LSU or Ohio State. After it's Bama.
So, but the question I would ask you is, what level of talent did Alabama get, and did we develop them, or were they just superior and we had superior quarterbacks? Because that's what you have to ask yourself. Is Ohio State, LSU, and Alabama, all of them have put a lot of guys into the league, but that dude on the sideline down at Auburn now has the same track record from Ole Miss, and he didn't start off with 5 stars.
DK and AJ,
They were not. They
I don't know if you can give him credit for them.
Why?
He was there when they were freshmen, and that was it. Their 2 years of making plays and being developed truly were not up under Hugh Freeze. He's got one Treadwell who was a bust.
You said Treadwell was a bust. The guy got messed up. But here's the question. What did those guys do against Alabama? What did wide receivers do against Alabama under Hugh Freeze? I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying that the reputation is that Hugh Freeze can get guys to the league.
DC, Ryan doesn't fit that mold. Ryan doesn't fit the mold of those guys.
And that's a good point. But DC, is it reality, or what's from the bottom of the pool say? Something can be doesn't have to necessarily be the truth.
Something can be true and not the truth.
So even though Hugh Freeze hasn't necessarily produced great, necessarily developed great, he has a reputation for it. And he also has a reputation for beating Nick Saban. So, and then money talks.
Well,
but anyway, I'm having fun with it this morning. The Ole Miss, what we need to remember about this whole conversation regarding Hugh Freeze is Hugh Freeze could do this and could get guys to come, guys, when it was illegal to cheat. Don't forget the Kimdichie brothers, who was raised. The Kimdichie brothers were raised Alabama fans in an Alabama household, and dude, he still got them to come to Ole Miss. Don't forget, what was his name? The big tackle. He still plays. Larry Tunsil. Don't forget that Larry Tunsil was committed to Georgia, and on the day of he was committing to Georgia and going to sign the papers, he committed to Ole Miss. And this was when Hugh Freeze had to cheat under the table. I'm just saying, until they put that ink on the paper and it's dry, you have to watch that dude down there. So anyway, all right, DC. Hey, I started some conversation about the most improved player on Alabama's team, and there's a lot of good candidates. And so we'll start with the candidates first. I gave my unofficial award, unofficial award to one guy on Facebook. So if you want to go see and give your opinion, agree or disagree, you're welcome to do that. Visit Martin Houston 35 on Facebook, the Martin Houston 35 on Facebook, and you can give your agree or disagree or your comments. But guys, who are some of the candidates for most improved?
Well, I think Caden Proctor and Jalen Milroe on offense have to be in the conversation. And I think, in my opinion, Terrion Arnold has to be, if you're talking about from last year to this year. That's at least 3 I could throw out there.
Okay. X?
Yeah, I mean, I'd go with those 3 guys, and then I'd also potentially throw in Tim Keenan. His growth and progression throughout the course of this season. Those will probably be the 4 guys that pop out the most to me. You know who? James Burnham as our punter.
Yeah, that was going to be my next one, James Burnham. I agree, X.
Yeah, James Burnham will be a good one. Let me see who else. We got a couple other. Terrion Arnold was mentioned. Proctor was mentioned. Milroe was mentioned. Caleb Downs was mentioned. A guy that probably had the best close to a regular season potentially in the history of Alabama would be Isaiah Bond as a potential improvement.
Caden
You
Roberts.
could kind of, huh?
Jaden Roberts.
Jaden Roberts could be on that list. And there's probably some other guys that like if you look at the tight end room, you have to think that a couple of those guys may be considered most improved, even though their actions didn't always manifest. Curtis Moore II said, "Did anyone mention Jermaine Burton? No, nobody had mentioned him. You have to think from what he did last year to this year, he stepped up." And I think he stepped up so much so that there was questions about whether other guys were good because people thought that our transfers would get more playing time at the wide receiver position, Benson, and he didn't. And part of that was because of two guys that we mentioned in that room, in Bond and Burton. So, of course, nobody's talking about. I've been trying to call them the Killer Bees, and it hadn't picked up yet, man. I mean, you got Burton, Bond, Benson, and who else is it? It's about 3 or 4 of them. One of them transferred. Can't count Brooks anymore. They're down one. Well, he's in the portal. But anyway, before we get into it, to picking who's your guy, you listed your candidates, and who's your guy?
Well, me, I have 2 because if you're talking about this year, I don't think anyone improved more than Caden Proctor. But he had a long way to go from. So the bar was low when he started. I think Caden Proctor improved during the season. But if you're talking about from last year to this year, it has to be, in my opinion, Terrion Arnold. I think he's played himself into a first-round draft pick.
Yep. X, who you got?
This year alone, to me, it's a catch. Is it going to be Caden or it's got to be Jalen? They both, in my opinion, leaps and bounds, but I'll probably go a little bit more with Caden just because being a true freshman, learning the college game from day one as the guy at one of the premier positions in college football in the NFL as well. So I'll go with Caden. Defensively, it's hard not to argue Terrion. Terrion was a guy who got benched at one point last year, came back, fought. He's 5 interceptions. When was the last time Bama had a guy have 5 interceptions in a season? I mean, so you look at that. So defensively, I have to go Terrion.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on the other side. I got a few highlights for the guy that I think is the most improved, and so I'll show those on the other side. Give you my thoughts. We got Pat and Foley on hold regarding a possible flip, so we'll work that into the conversation as well. But we'll be back on the other side. You listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We have DC Capstone Report in the conversation. Hey, if you're looking for a great place to eat, try Billy's Cooking Restaurant. They have 50-cent wing Wednesdays, fish Fridays, and soul food Sundays. They're open Wednesday through Sundays at 11 a.m. So don't forget to go get those 50-cent wings today, starting at 11 o'clock. And hey, listen, if you tell them that you're with the Martin Houston Show and you show up on a Saturday, you'll not only get a great meal. If that meal adds up to $15, then you'll also get a free pork sandwich on Saturday. But you have to let them know that you're a first-time visitor. Also, check them out at Billy's Cooking LLC on Facebook. We'll be back for more conversation right here on your home for Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Things pretty quiet as we begin our Tuesday morning. Reduces minor congestion on Culver Road headed out to Goodrich. Now, if you see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. The year-end clearance is on now at Townsend Nissan with savings up to $10,000. Don't miss it. I'm Captain Ray.
Spoiled supermarket meat, sawdust like fillers, artificial preservatives?
Ho, ho, hold on there. I'm veterinarian Dr. Marty Goldstein. You don't want your dog eating any of that. These potentially harmful ingredients are found in many of today's popular dog foods, but not in Nature's Blend, a freeze-dried raw dog food with real cuts of meat, omega-3 rich seeds, and superfood veggies and fruit.
Nature's Blend is designed to help support your dog's playfulness, healthy skin, soft coat, easy digestion, and youthful mobility.
Your dog will go bonkers over Nature's Blend savory flavor and texture.
For a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and receive a free festive holiday dog sweater with select orders. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
I guarantee it with a 100% 90-day return of your purchase price.
Offer available with select orders while supplies last. Text fees may apply. You may receive up to one additional text. Text stop to opt out. Paid for by Dr. Marty's Pets.
Hey, this is Reagan, owner of R&R Cigars, the Cigar Mansion in downtown Tuscaloosa, located at 2703 6th Street across from the Home 2 Suites. Come down to R&R and see why we're the ultimate cigar and bourbon experience. With over 165 bourbons and 5 private barrels, our selection of bourbon is unmatched. We have the best cocktails around and our cigar selection is legendary. Our lounge and service are world-class. Come and experience the luxury of the mansion and see why it's a world-renowned cigar and spirits destination.
Imagine getting ahead of your irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C by treating it with Linzess. Then you could start proactively managing your constipation with belly pain and get ahead of your symptoms. Talk to your doctor about Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
There's got to be more to Christmas than fighting for parking, tired feet, and crowded malls. Well, Jesus said, "My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you." Look to him and have a Merry Christmas from Taco Casa.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome into the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaXSports. We got X on the line with us each and every day. And today we added DC Capstone report to the conversation. DC, tell them where they can find you, sir.
Well, you can find us at DCCapstoneReport.com, DC Capstone Report Facebook page, and also Lance's other sites, RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com. We got a lot of good Alabama content on Lance's other sites. We've taken a 2-week hiatus for Christmas on the podcast. We'll be back up right after Christmas, previewing the upcoming game against the Michigan Wolverines.
All right. And don't forget, he's able to do this each and every week by sponsorship with Miss Karen Cottingham, 205-887-4008. Karen Cottingham at kw.com if you're looking for someone that can help you with your real estate needs statewide. Try Karen Cottingham once again with Keller Williams. Karen Cottingham at kw.com. All right, let's quickly get Pat in so we can get back to the conversation we were having. Pat will work you in right here on the Alabama One hotline, 205-342-9904. You're on with DC and X. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, guys. Hey, I'm down in Foley, Alabama today, and hey, I'm hearing down here that Nick Saban has gone and bought himself a West Virginia class submarine. That the Virginia class submarine is our newest nuclear arsenal in the United States arsenal. But hey, Nick's got him a West Virginia class. That's where he's from, West Virginia. Hey, but man, I'm hearing that he is going to submarine the Auburn program with a nuclear explosion and bring Perry Thompson back to Tuscaloosa. That, hey, would that not be the cat's meow, guys?
X, I'll let you. X, I'll let you
take this one because I know he's a recruiting guy. Go ahead, X.
It would be, and there have been rumors coming out in the last week or so about a big loss in NIL from Auburn. There's been talks of they've lowballed Perry on what he's actually going to get through NIL. There's a lot of stuff going on. Am I sure that it's going to happen? No, I think he's trolling with some of the stuff that he's posted the last few weeks. But if it happens, I mean, that just bolsters Alabama's class even more now that you got Williams, Jefferson, and Scott. If you add Thompson back to that, it's a truly great wide receiver class.
Great. Yeah, absolutely fabulous, guys. Hey, but that's the talk down here in Foley, Alabama, that Auburn's out. And so we'll see. Let's hope that I'm correct. And hey, y'all guys have a blessed day. And hey, we'll try to eat some swamp cabbage down here for y'all at my favorite restaurant while I'm here. Y'all have a great day. Bye bye.
Thanks, Pat.
Always good to hear from Pat.
Hey, listen, I don't know that it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a good thing or not that he comes.
Well, I know what you're saying, Mark. I will say this to add what X said. I heard yesterday that the announcement by Ryan Williams to reclassify actually would help him coming to Alabama because of some of the things that have been going on behind the scenes with the NIL. That's just what I'm hearing.
But see, you know, the key, the NIL, it just tickles me. It's not supposed to be used to be recruiting, but that's all we talk about is this kid's going to go here because of this. It's the craziest thing ever. But anyway, either way, I'm not sure having 4 wide receivers of the caliber that we have is a good thing. Because you end up losing guys.
It didn't hurt when we had Ruggs and Judy and Smith.
It didn't hurt DC, but we didn't have a transfer portal and we didn't have people that had NIL money to bid them away either. I guarantee you Devontae Smith isn't sitting. Devontae Smith, every time he played, he would be the best player on the field. And everybody forgets that. Go back and look at Devontae Smith. When the other guys were here, Devontae Smith still had the 200-yard games.
He was the best player as a freshman in practice. He just needed more development in his weight room in order to get on the field. He was every practice.
And my point is that dude ain't staying here till he's a senior to win the Heisman. He's somewhere else because everybody else sees that talent. Everybody else sees that ability. Moms and dads are telling them. That's my concern is, DC, that it's a different time. I understand you have 4 guys, but you also you have to think about what we already have here. We're only losing Burton of the playmakers this year. I mean,
so far.
And we forget, huh?
So far.
And then you
so
see
we're only using Burton.
Yeah, and then you see hail flashes. I mean, Prentice is gonna keep getting better. Law is gonna have more time. We know what Bond is. I think Benson is gonna, be. I mean, like I said, I think that you got 3 studs right now. If Williams stays in the class, don't get me wrong. I'd rather get some depth somewhere else potentially. And Perry Thompson has shown he'll flip for money.
I understand. Yeah. I understand all that, but I agree with what X said. If it happened, it would be a monumental thing to submarine, no pun intended, to Auburn recruiting this year.
I think you can get him. I think you can get him a couple years down the road from Auburn. That was so wrong. That was wrong. All right. A guy that we didn't mention, and I think it's unfair to him. And he'll be one of my other awards that I'm going to give. I'm going to give down the road. He'll be a potential candidate for the breakout player of the year because that's what I'm going to hit today and post. So you be looking for it on the Martin Houston 3-5 Facebook page. But Caleb Downs, I think he's the difference maker. We don't think about him as the most improved because he's been good all year, DC. But going into the Texas, if we rematch against Texas, that one change in his growth and his development, both in his ability to communicate from the safety position and his ability to play the star position and shut down zero. We didn't have anybody for zero in that game, and we had miscommunication. I think that Caleb Downs is clearly, even though he was good, he has improved so much so that we don't have bust in the secondary when he's at safety, and now he can play star, and we can put him on the tight end, which has been part of our kryptonite, whether you go back to Lane Kiffin, you go back to Georgia, you go back to Ole Miss, even before Lane Kiffin, that was our kryptonite, the big tight end down the middle of the field. Caleb Downs is definitely one of those candidates, but that's not my guy. But go ahead. Any thoughts on that?
Oh, I agree 100%. The issue there is the reason we don't talk about that as much an improvement is because he started out so high. You can see the improvement on Caden Proctor because he started out so low. But yeah, Caleb Downs definitely has improved over the year and just gotten better and better and better. And is definitely a difference maker now as playing as he was when he was a freshman, when he first started the first couple of games as a freshman.
Yeah, that's what his floor was not as low as Kate.
Right.
But I still think that if you truly looked at it, he may have gotten just as much better from his first game to where he is now as much as Proctor did from his low floor to where he is right now. The growth is probably
I agree.
And it's hard to think about that. But my guy is Caden Proctor. And I just want you guys, I'm sorry for those of you who can't watch the video, but I'm going to talk through it a little bit. The video shows Caden Proctor on a read option. This is Elliott from the LSU game. It shows him blocking on a read option. And I love it. He takes a step inside, which cuts off the tackle. But because he takes that step inside, guess what the defensive end does? He tries to fight inside even more. And Caden does a great job because he blocks the guy, DC, from getting to the inside. And then he turns around. And because the guy was trying to fight so hard inside, it also opens up the edge. If he loses him inside, either way, he's coming up and messing up the play. But this is just one play, and then I have another quick one that I want to hit as well.
There for the first down throw to the 23. And now it's Milroe all the way. Jalen Milroe will walk in. Touchdown, Alabama.
There's the block.
There it is. Sealed it off. Jalen did the rest. Let's see if it's a quarterback keeper. It is. Jalen Milroe back in for the touchdown. Put it in reverse and score.
Now I want you all to also think about this play. Now this is the tush push, DC. This is the tush push. And where does the tush push go, DC? What when the brotherly shove or whatever you want to call it. It goes inside over the center.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and watch the show later, for those of you who are listening on the radio, go back and watch this play. Caden Proctor is at left tackle, have a tight end, and the LSU defender is splitting between the tackle and the tight end. He comes in, Caden crushes this block so much so that it almost, the tush push, instead of being a tush push, it ends up being like a power or a quarterback keeper off into the 4-hole or the 3-hole, the 5-hole, I'm sorry, to the left, the way we used to call it, or the C gap, as Saban likes to call it. But here's that play on the tush push or the Miro mush or whatever you want to call it.
Design, but it sure worked because Jam Miller jams him into the end zone.
And Milroe's got a second rushing touchdown of the night.
And there's another play. There's a couple other plays, DC. I'm not going to go through them right now, but there's another play where he absolutely just dominates his guy on the outside on Jalen's next touchdown run. He pushes him outside, and it would have been a sack the week before. And the reason I chose Caden Proctor was because this was a guy that we were talking about. He needs to be benched. All the other guys we named, we never said they need to bench. Now people were calling for Jalen Milroe, but everybody always calls for the backup quarterback to play. Jalen Milroe is improved, in my opinion. I'm going to say this conversation for the other side because I don't want to cut it short. I'm going to tell you why I chose Caden Proctor over the other guys. And I'll get your thoughts, guys, on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Things pretty quiet as we begin our Tuesday morning. Reduces minor congestion on Culver Road headed out to Goodrich. Now, if you see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. The year-end clearance is on now at Townsend Nissan with savings up to $10,000. Don't miss it. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. 20-year-old Mississippi woman Noelle Lynn Savage was arrested last week after police received a tip that in late November, around 24 videos depicting child pornography had been downloaded to a device with a 205 area code. Savage is listed as a resident of Starkville, Mississippi. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage throughout the day. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Connecting one-to-one was the support I needed.
I was helped by group therapy. Finding the right physician made a difference in my mental health.
For many, feelings that lead to suicidal thoughts are not just a phase or simply a mood. They're signs someone may need mental health support. Help is available 24/7.
Talking about my true feelings changed my life. Saved it, really.
There is no shame in sharing how you feel. Call 988 and be connected to a trained mental health counselor. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Mental Health.
You know what happens in a plasma chamber?
Big stuff. Science stuff.
Diamonds. I'm Tom Osmond. Fincher & Osmond Jewelers carries artisan-created diamonds.
Earth and human safe.
And bigger. Lots bigger.
Fincher & Osmond diamonds from the mines or artisan-created diamonds.
They're all diamonds.
If you want to give her the big stuff, you've got to see these diamonds.
FincherandOsmond.com. A little tricky to find on McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
It's the holiday mystery sale at JCPenney. How much will you save? An amazing coupon giveaway starts this Thursday. Everyone can enjoy guaranteed savings of an extra 30% off, or your chance at an extra 40 or 50% off your entire purchase in store. All the gifts you need, all the savings you want. Mystery solved. JCPenney. Make your holidays count. Offers valid on select styles 12/7 through 12/14. Exclusions apply. Giveaway in-store only. Must be 18 or older. See store or jcp.com for details.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino's 7 days of giveaways is going on now. We're giving away $125,000 in free play and cash at Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We have DC Capstone Report on the line with us, and we're talking about the most improved player. We're talking about the most improved player, and that would be my vote is Caden Proctor. You can go out to the Martin Houston 35, agree or disagree. Give your thoughts and comments and tell me why you think that way. As I was saying, the reason I don't give it to Jalen Milroe is I think the coaches, Tommy Rees and Nick Saban, didn't use Jalen properly at the beginning. Now, is he? I think he had that type of talent at the beginning of the year. Now, is he improved? Absolutely. But after the USF game, nobody called for him to be benched. Everybody was like, please play him, please, God. Oh, please play him.
They were most definitely not calling for him to be big.
But no one ever called for Caleb to be benched. No one ever called for Terrion to be benched. No one ever called for Bun to be benched. No one ever called for Keenan to be benched. All of these are great candidates. But we called for Caden Proctor to be benched right up until the LSU game, until the bye week. Do y'all realize that we've not talked about him since the LSU game?
Well, now I did talk about him because I criticized him so much that I finally had to say on your show that time that he didn't have any sense of.
Yeah, the only thing we said was Caden Proctor hadn't given up a sack. We hadn't given up one sack.
Exactly right. That's exactly
I'm saying
right.
we had whole segments dedicated to what he needed to improve on and what he needed to do, and we can look at what he was doing wrong, DC, and he in 1 week when it slowed down. Wow, it blows my mind. This dude graded out the highest grade in the championship game. He got SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week nominations and wins. I mean, he's my dude.
I think to your point earlier, Martin, I think this is a complete opposite of the Jalen Milroe thing because I have to give Coach Wolford credit and Caden for having the ability to soak it all in and finally let it resonate, and then the light switch pulled off and realized all the little things that he was learning and put it and execute them. But that just shows you what happens when you actually understand your player and put them in a position to get better, and the coach and the player work good together. So I think that's completely opposite of what you were saying earlier about how they didn't do that for Jalen Milroe.
DC, I mean, X, you got anything?
It was so bad at one point talking about Coach Wolford. There were people calling for his job.
That's right. That's how bad Caden was playing. We were like, I thought Coach Wolford was supposed to be a good offensive line coach.
It turns out he is, right?
Yeah. Well, let me say this, DC, before we do some rapid fire. Listen, if that doesn't teach you the importance of spring practice in summer and why Nick Saban and the staff need to put guys in and stop. I know they have to do this, but you need to name these starters sooner.
Definitely.
You see what I'm saying? Because you can't tell me this kid had a week off and he came back and he looked like what we thought he would be as a a 5-star overall big left tackle.
Yeah, and especially on the offensive line, you need time to gel. Even with putting Jaden Roberts in, he individually did great a couple of games, but it took 2 or 3 games to get the whole line to gel together. So that's the importance. We should use this as an importance of how you need to do this early on. Make those decisions early on and roll with it.
Yeah, and then that guy's fight. I mean, because listen, when they named a starter, it didn't make me stop working. It made me work harder because I still wanted to be the starter. And I saw what my criteria was to be the starter. I could watch Kevin Turner every day and go, okay, he does that a little bit better than I do. So I'm gonna make sure I don't lose my strength, but I'm gonna catch him in this area. And that anyway, I get the spring competition and all that, but man, name these starters earlier, and I think you'll see what we saw with each one of the guys as we gave them more reps. Even with Kendrick Law, when we finally gave him reps, you see that he's a game changer. Anyway, real quick, DC, I don't have enough time to get to it all, but all SEC. What do you think? Who on that list that stands out the most to you, and who do you think should have made it that didn't, perhaps?
Well, I think Terrion Arnold making it stands out great for me because I think he came a long way from the year before. But I was kind of shocked that Chris Braswell didn't make it. I don't think he got enough credit during the year, but I think he was just as impactful as Dallas Turner, and I think Chris Braswell was one of the ones that should have made it at least the second team.
Yeah, and there's definitely not defensive player of the year to not making a team gap between him and Braswell. And
correct. The gap doesn't exist that big for sure in my mind.
Not even close.
Right. not without a doubt. And let me ask you, is Terrion Arnold, did he play better than Kool-Aid this year? Is he our best DB?
In my opinion, I think he was. I think he showed it in his production, and I think he showed it in his interceptions. And he could have more interceptions. He just had a couple that was dropped. I mean, I think he did the best, in my opinion.
Or X, I saw you go. Or is that because Kool-Aid shut down and nobody goes after him?
Nobody throws at Kool-Aid, so he doesn't get the opportunities. If Kool-Aid got thrown at as much as Terrion, he would have 4 or 5 interceptions as well. But he doesn't get thrown at like that.
I can follow with that.
I see that true too, but I still think the body of work there, Terrion Arnold's has had more thrown at him, so the opposite is true as well. If Kool-Aid got thrown at him more, he may have opportunity to not make the plays. That's what I was going at too.
But do they not throw at Kool-Aid because his guy's not open? I mean, that's the beauty of being a great DB. Is nobody you don't ever have a statistic. Deion was an exception because when you would try him, he would pick it off. But most of the time, the best DBs don't get thrown at as much. But Terrion, I think, improved tremendously. And had he not been the player he would have, this Alabama defense would have struggled mightily because they did go after him a lot. Any closing thoughts, DC?
Well, I just think that this team has, in my opinion, what we're talking all about today, all these improvements, SEC players, most improved players, just goes to show you that this Alabama team had a lot of room for improvement, and it actually went out and did it and executed individually and corporately, I think.
Yeah, I think this team came a long way. Coach Saban, the staff, all of them came a long way in terms of what they do. Hey, real quick, DC, closing thoughts on basketball.
Well, I think Alabama's basketball, everybody's going to be down on a little bit because of their losses and stuff. But I really believe that this tough schedule that Nate Oates has put together is going to pay big dividends when they get to the SEC. So don't give up on this team yet. We've still got a lot of basketball left to play.
All right. And Bam Bam 72 said, I think Amos is going to be a good one. I agree with that. When Kool-Aid is headed out, and when he went out in the Georgia game, Amos showed up and did an unbelievable job. All right. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow for more conversation on a Would You Rather Wednesday, Wildcard Wednesday. Check out the Martin Houston 35 on Facebook, where I'll have my breakout player, who I think the breakout player. I may have multiple guys because this is one of those awards where I think that several guys hit that. And if you have some thoughts, suggestions, go ahead and post yours there, and I'll work them into the conversation. We'll be back tomorrow. That's DC Capstone Report. You can catch him at dccapstonereport.com. Hey, I'm Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston, and that's Justin behind it. Roll Tide out there, everybody. Remember this: trust in the Lord always. Lean not in your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths.
Roll Tide.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.